Hello, you're listening to iFanboy Pick of the Week, episode 1016. My name is Connor Kilpatrick. This is my co-host, under the weather, Josh Flanagan.
I look better than I feel, if I'm going to be
You do.
honest with
You look like
you.
you've lost some weight.
Well, I've been sick and injured off and on for the past 2 months, so
He has a cough. He may cough
I got
or
a I
just
got a button here.
You may miss it, though.
I can't pull the button. There's the button. That's the cough button, people, for those on YouTube.
You
So
might miss it.
you could.
That's what I'm saying. There might be a cough. That's all. Just prepare
It's
yourselves.
possible. But
Welcome
those
to
listening
our
to the
show.
audio version, I'll kill those.
Probably
You'll never hear it.
Yeah,
You wouldn't know.
those are deleted. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. It's like it never happened. Welcome to the show where we talk about the comic books from the week. We've been doing it for 21 years, and every week, one of us picks the book they like the best with a stack of comics they've read. And they call it the book the pick of the week. We talk about that book, other books from the week, the Patron Pick, listener mail, all the fun stuff. And let's just jump in. Let's just get to it. Josh, you had the pick this
do
week.
it. I did have the pick of the week. I actually found I generally enjoyed my comics, but I did have a thing where I was like, I don't really know what my pick of the week is. But what I did was I went with Nova Centurion #5, which I think was slightly elevated from the fact that like this is pretty much gonna go away. And
that did kind of it didn't ruin the experience, but I had that in the back of my head going, is any of this gonna wrap up? Or when is the last issue? Is it next week? Is it next month? Like I don't even know when it's ending. We were Stephanie Williams said that all the books that came out of Imperial are ending, and so I had that thought in the back of my head as like, when is it just kind of ruined the experience. I just wish I didn't know they were being. I wish it would have gone away.
Right. Well, but just for me, I thought, you know what? I've really been enjoying this book, so we've got another one now. I'm going to enjoy it while we can. And it's funny because this is the thing that's sort of tying it back into the Imperial thing where it started, because in Imperial, Peter Quill and Rich Rider were sort of teamed up, and then I literally don't remember like what happened, but Peter Quill basically kind of double-crossed Rich so that he could take power because he thought he was doing the right thing. But then we have what a Lando Han situation here, which is very obvious. It's been a long time, Richie, and then he punches him in the face. And I just, in terms of what I want out of a Marvel comic that features Nova, this series has been it. And it's been really consistent and fun. They've actually found something to do with Peter Quill in comics, which hasn't happened in years. Like, he's been in comics, but you could take him out and put anybody else in there. So I thought this was really cool. I don't know, it was just a bunch of fun moments. Spending time with characters who are interesting, and it's not like reinventing the wheel or anything. And it's funny because there's a fight at the beginning, and I'm looking at it, and I was like, this is not how John Buscema said to draw fights.
Well, that's funny you thought that, because I had almost the exact same thought. I'm not kidding. Nova Centurions had two different artists, Alvaro Lopez, and then another one whose name is like three words, and I love the other one, and I don't like Alvaro Lopez, and I thought this issue suffered. I like this issue because the story is great and the character's great.
Right.
I thought the issue suffered from the art. That fight scene was so stiff and boring. Like, that first punch was like one of the worst drawn punches I've ever seen.
100%, and I agree with you. However, sort of later, as we got to the big space monster and stuff like that, I was like, all right, wasn't awesome at the beginning.
Wait, to go back to what you said, though, I thought to myself, someone sent up Alvaro Lopez how to draw comics the Marvel way. I literally had that thought while reading this. So it's funny that we both had the thought, because I was like, this could be so much more dynamic, and it's the most boring thing I've ever seen. Go ahead.
I could say, and this would be giving an artist credit, maybe they deserve it or not. There's an argument to be made that there's a visual choice to keep things small and keep the camera in close, and you're not turning everything into a big epic-y thing because it's really just like a scuffle between friends or brothers or something like that. I think that there's a happy medium in there that you don't need to necessarily make it boring without turning it into like the fight of all time. Like, there's something in the middle that could have been done better.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4
it goes on
pages.
A while.
It's a 4-page, dust them up, and I don't know. Most of that one panel is really bad. The rest of the panels aren't so bad. It's they work, but the body language is just like, he's just like
that first punch on page whatever. I'm sorry, it's not popping up for me. 4 is really unimpressive. You know, that could have been done. You know what I always think of? One of my favorite panels, but one of my favorite punch panels. The Flash punches somebody in New Frontier, and it's just his hand going. Like that was my desktop for a really long time.
Oh yeah.
It's just like that would have been a much more effective page turn, close up on the fist in the face or something like that. And because
over Star-Lord's shoulder with his face coming, turning towards the camera with the fist coming, like it's just there's so many more ways to do it than just that 3/4.
And there's a way to do it without necessarily making it look like the epic be all end all, two people fight to the death, which I think would have been too far. But there's stuff that the page after.
This one's very similar to what you're talking about. This Flash panel, the very first next panel, which is very similar to that Flash panel, which is a fist and a face. That could have been a way more dynamic shot than this one.
And this is a great page because it had the fifth page. If you're looking at home, you've got two punches, left, right, cross, and then an interesting sort of white panel with Peter holding, the bent over. I'm sorry, with Rich holding the bent over Peter. Like there's good stuff there. That said, like I really liked the story aspect of this.
I thought this issue was great.
And their relationship. There was a bit, and I'm trying to find it, but where the one alien guy just goes, "I'm a combat accountant," and I was like, combat accountant doesn't get less funny.
No,
he says, "Shut
funnier.
up, Albert. Any idea what the hell we're looking at?" Richard, I am a combat accountant. That's I don't know if that exists anywhere in other comics or something, but if it's brilliant. It's so funny, and
my specialties are 1 combat, 2 accounting, not xenobiology.
He's not. He's not telling tales. That's the case. Then there was the surprise of sort of the monster in the girl, which I've seen in 10 other books. But what I do know is that I don't really know her story. I knew she was up to some shit, and so she says, "I'm sick and I can only use the Mysterium," which sounds like complete bullshit. But then that turns out to be true, and I was like, all right, let's go on this. And I actually thought the artwork through that whole when she gets sick. The coloring is really nice. It's just, I want this book. I want a book like this to exist. And they're so short for this world, and it's going to happen again. Like we've had all these, like, it really hasn't been since 20 years ago or maybe 15 years ago when there was all that great Guardians and Nova stuff after Annihilation. Yeah, but since then it's been, fits and starts and nothing really stuck, which is weird because the Guardians movie was like a huge deal based on that stuff, and they managed to come up with like no worthy Guardian stories since then at all.
Right.
Also, why is there not a Nova movie? There should be a great Nova movie.
Yeah.
Sorry. They have had a lot of series, but none of them meant anything, and none of them stuck, and then none of them are related.
I like this. Art complaints aside, I like you said, I thought the stuff, the reveal of the girl who we thought at first was stealing the Mysterium just for her own profit, stealing it for her own health, was interesting. It felt like it came on fast, and now this again, the knowledge of the book being canceled is playing with my mind while I read it. Did it come on fast, or is it just that's how he always planned it? I don't know, but now I think about it.
In either case, in this kind of story, I'm fine with it coming on fast, because if not, what else are they going to do? I mean, like it would have been more standing around waiting for something.
A 1 or 2 issue, resolution to the thing that they introduced, and I just don't. And again, it's just my own brain going, while reading it, going, wait, was this going to happen now, or was this going to happen in 5 issues? And that's just not. I just can't help it. But
they're all flying around in space. The combat account, and they have little jet boots, which isn't how that works in space, but it's great. Honestly, I like credit where due. We bitched about those first couple pages, but man, the last, from when all the tendrils and things break out of the space station, all the pages after that are fantastic.
He does excel with the space monster stuff. Maybe that's why he did this issue, because they've been alternating. They've been splitting issues. They've been alternating.
Yeah.
And I think the other artist is like Matea de la something. He's really good at the character stuff, and so maybe Alvaro Lopez is better at the monster stuff, and that's fine, because the monster stuff is really good here. And I still love the Kree Skrull War gang. I think it's a great concept. I think it's a funny name, and I think the characters are interesting. And like you said, all these things are great. It's a bummer this book can't exist. And I did have a larger Marvel thought while reading the books, and also I'll save for later in the show when we talk about another Marvel.
So then one other thing that's happening here, though, is that, I mean, so really, end of the day, what's just a great, good old superhero comic? What's a good Gosh comic that I really enjoyed? And then two, the incredible contrast that I feel between books written by Jed MacKay. I cannot get over how much I like some things and how much I continue to grow in my dislike for other things. But we'll get to that later.
It is interesting. I think it's just, well, let's talk about that when we get to that book. Let's move on to the next book, which I thought for sure I was going to see as your choice was Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring #6, the final issue of, at the very least, this miniseries, if not the whole series. It could be a series finale. It could be a volume finale. We'll see, I guess, what happens.
I mean, it would be very weird to end this way and then never do anything else. But I would also be fine with that.
I mean, the ending is very much a end of the story ending where she moves on and finds a new set of victims. So that makes sense, but they could always come back to it.
So what we have is the ending of the second arc of this Busy Town Bear serial killer story, which is very odd. And as I started, it seemed very calm. And Samantha is describing these cool remote switches and then she starts to light the entire town on fire. And then she's in sort of a warehouse or something with the duck girl, who is the sister. She was investigating the death of her brother, who was eviscerated, literally, in the first issue of the first series. And I thought, wait a minute, wasn't there a big firefight or something? Because I thought she was in her store, but
she shot up with the cops.
Right, there was a huge, but so apparently they got out of that, and she found another.
There were the machine guns that came out of the walls.
Yeah. And she'd already set up incendiary devices all over the place. And basically the town starts to go to hell as she blows everything up. But in the middle of it was this beautiful, like, touching sort of scene with that one mother who got addicted to her anxiety pills, and like, there's a line in here that's like, this will probably be the hardest thing you've ever done, but if you can't make it, your son will be removed from your home and placed in foster care. And then walks out, and I was like, that's quality writing. I mean, just like writing in general, it felt like an ER kind of.
And then the next panel was her reaction to it, and it's a very. And she's not even in a close up. She is seen through the door from the hallway.
Yep.
So she's not even like, it's not even a long shot in the room. She's in another room.
Then we watch. I was going to say we watch her go to the bathroom on the next, but it's not about like she's going, like, it's the hand flushing a toilet and then washing her hands and looking at herself in the mirror, and it's great drama. And I was thinking about this as I'm reading this whole time. I was like, fucking, these are cute ass animals. Samantha's a cute ass bear animal, but they've done this thing. And then I guess finally this will be your spoiler bit, is that, like, first of all, the duck lady burns alive from what I can tell. So no comeuppance for her. And then Samantha gets away. And I was like, wow. And the reason that I don't make this pick of the week is because I don't know how to feel about that. And that could be that could be a virtue. But
you called her a cute ass bear, and you've been doing it the entire time. So I think last week you were talking about how you didn't understand, you didn't know how you felt about the heroes having sexy villains, and here you are talking about the cute ass serial killer.
Not cute, like hot, just like a stuffed animal.
I know what you mean. It can just be someone you want to nuzzle. But I do also want to mention the turtle story.
Yeah.
Was the turtle? I have a hard time keeping track because I read the first volume in the trade, and it was easy to keep track of everything. I'm never reading this in issues. Was like the turtle agoraphobic or something, or not? Didn't go outside.
Yeah, I now remember the turtle, but I don't really remember where he came from. And
well, anyway, the turtle ends up saving like
an
entire old folks home because everyone sort of abandons it when the whole town's on fire. And he does it steal a bus or somehow gets a
it's the bus that's outside of the nursing home, and they just left it there. So he goes and saves all the people.
But he evacuates all of them who have not. They're all too scared to leave their building, which is about to catch fire. And so I thought that was really nice in the midst of all the terribleness, and there's a lot of it.
Yeah.
I mean, Samantha shoots someone to steal their car and burns the duck woman alive, like you said. Somehow she doesn't kill one person though, right? Isn't there one person she doesn't kill? It's the
she doesn't kill the kid.
The kid. She not for lack of trying. She shoots at the kid.
She
That's
killed
true.
the kid's father, which drove the kid's mother kind of insane. And then
That's
the kid was working for her, and he just happens to pull into the alley. I guess that she was like, "Wait, do you kill my dad?" And then she starts shooting at him.
Right.
Like
She did try. She did try.
I do like that, and it's the correct choice. Is that Patrick Horvath never wavered in the sociopathy, I guess, of the killer. Like there wasn't a point where she, thought, "Oh, I do kind of like him." No, everybody
No.
is a victim, is a target.
I would say this issue ends in very much the way it Silence of the Lambs ends. It's not like an unusual thing in a serial killer story to let the killer live another day to find a new town. In this case, in a desert town with hardly any people in it.
I would go so far to say though that in that instance, Hannibal Lecter in that movie, while evil, has elements about him that he does some of the heroic things in it. He doesn't just kill anybody. But like he does some of the right things, and you kind of like him, which is a little more than this character. Like
the only person he doesn't kill really is Clarice, right? Everyone else,
right. Well, narratively though, but everybody mistreats. Like narratively though, he's the hero in that story in a way. And I don't mean like he is a hero, but like within the function. I don't know. Like I don't know if he's like Samantha's the protagonist. But we don't like her. I think the fact is because of what she looks like and because of the small town stuff, like you keep thinking you should like her and then you can't. And I think that's interesting,
And he certainly sets up, again, like this can very easily be the last issue ever of this story and be totally fine. But the narration in this issue takes place from the future.
Yeah.
And she says, in the years that followed, the world found out about everything I did. Well, almost everything. And then another panel says, I just never expected that once they found out, I'd have so many fans. So he can totally do a third volume in which she is caught.
Sure.
And then the societal obsession with serial killers and murder and true crime and everything. And that might be really, really interesting. Or that could live forever in our heads as a story that happens. And either way, I think you have a satisfying 2-volume story here.
Yeah. And I've said it, from the beginning, like the art is so fantastic. The lizard guy in the desert at the end, I was like, what an awesome design. What great character acting is sort of the body language you get from the turtle guy and his eye, like just it's so far it's a lot like Black Sad or something. Is like you've used the cute fuzzy animals, but you made them come alive,
I do want to say it's not just the drawing; it's his
coloring,
watercolor-esque colors. It gives it like a parchment paper feel. And we read this digitally. I don't know how it prints, but it does feel like you're reading on an old paper, and not old comic paper, but old like watercolor paper. And it's a really nice look that he's given to this whole book. He's a really talented cartoonist.
Yeah, it's a hell of a thing.
Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back for more comics right after this.
All right, we're up with or third in the run is the big book from DC KO number 5. This wasn't pick of the week. I don't honestly, when I was going back to figure out what it is I wanted to make pick of the week, I was like, I should give that consideration, and I realized I was like, I don't quite remember what happened. Which is not great on the same day.
I enjoyed this whole event. I would not put it in the pantheon of DC events or any comics events, but it was enjoyable enough in a way that these days most events are not.
And it didn't go on too long.
However, this issue, and it depends on how well you know this movie, this issue felt a lot like Be Sure to Drink Your Ovaltine, which is a reference to A Christmas Story where Ralphie spends all the time waiting for his decoder ring from the secret message from the radio show he listens to, and he finally gets his decoder ring and he decodes the message, and it's a commercial to buy Ovaltine. This book basically ends with a commercial for all the new DC books coming out, so it doesn't feel, in some ways all events do that, but this one was sort of blatantly doing it. It's just sort of like a 2-page spread showing all the new books coming out, in art form, but they're not usually that crass about it. It's usually more implied.
Mhm.
Characters go off for new adventures or things that happen. But this was like a 2-page spread of here's Zatanna and here's Deathstroke and here's Lobo and here's Firestorm and it felt very sort of crassly commercial. These are all very commercial products, but this felt very crassly commercial.
What I didn't like is that the ending had the sense of it being an epilogue that was being told to me after the fact, instead of having me be along for the final fight. And it is actually narrated in present tense, but it felt like it had happened and now we're just getting the recap of it instead of there wasn't much suspense in it. And so it just felt like for a series that, and this was the thing when this first was revealed to us, we're like, all right, yeah, let's lean into this thing. Let's have the big fights. And this should have been that. This should have been End of the Karate Kid. This should have been Bloodsport. This should any of the like Rocky. That's what the ending should have been, and it was not that. And like if you think about was that Black Canary book that Tom King did recently, Ryan Sook? That whole thing was a fight. You're in the ring for it. This is called DCKO. It's Superman versus Darkseid at the end. Like, make all those awesome things, like planet-sized punches of fun. But like, man, if that is not something you can do with the DC comic superhero about a one-on-one fight, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
it felt like wrong.
It very much felt like an epilogue where, again, it sets up the post-event status quo, and it felt like we missed the climax, like we skipped over the fight scene.
Yes.
This is issue 6. The fight was issue 5, but we didn't do 5. So in that sense, this was a disappointing issue. I thought the entire thing was pretty fun. I liked a lot of things that happened. I loved certain scenes in here. I really liked the epilogue scene, which is drawn by Wes Craig, where Barry Allen comes home with what looks to be $1,000 worth of comics. He's got
like 12. Those are comics.
Yeah,
they're square shaped. I thought they were. They were record singles.
He loves Wednesdays. He's a comics nerd. We know that, and he's got a giant comic book stack. It's just that he's got a million of them. So it was also a little confusing what exactly did happen in this book.
Correct.
And also that they found a way to be like, you beat Darkseid, but guess what? His absolute characters are still around because you're all buying them.
Further complaint. What are we doing with these absolute characters?
Well, I think that's DC's dilemma because they're selling so well. Whatever they were planning on doing with them, they can't do.
They came out, they were going to be like the dark bad versions, but now they're just the same superheroes.
Yeah.
They're not really in a horrible world. They just beat Darkseid. So like there's a version of them here that I was like, oh, maybe this is what they were going to be. But are you also then telling me that these super powerful characters who we spent all of this time getting to know for the last 2 years, like they're all just able to be corrupted by Darkseid and turn evil? Like what? Why? Which story are you telling me?
I think they got huge in by their own success. They didn't expect that. Now they have to keep these things going in a way they probably didn't plan on it. But so all this is leading to what seems to be absolute crisis sometime in the future, which they'll figure out what to do with those absolute characters probably there. But there was some sort of like explosion. I
swear to God, if they Miles Morales these characters into the 2 universes,
what, you don't think having 4 Supermans enough? Now we got to add a 5th one to the DC universe.
I'm
out. There was some sort of explosion of Omega or Alpha energy, whatever it was, and so apparently a lot of characters are going to have this like new amped up powers or new abilities going forward. This is the same thing they did a couple years ago. Exact same thing when they did the power swaps. Superman seems to be missing, and the implication here is that the Superboy Prime will be the lead in his book for the time being.
I don't want that.
I don't either, and that seems to be what they're implying here.
Then there's like the thing, like they did try to do the Marvel Endgame thing. Like I'm just tagging them in, and all the other superheroes showed up.
Yep.
Nothing happened though.
Yeah. Again, this was a mess. This was a mess of a specific issue. So again, Clark Kent's missing. If you look at the All in Aftermath art, Guy Gardner now wears a robe. Again, Superboy Prime is prominently there next, in the Trinity image. So I don't know. This could have been a lot more fun than it was. It was fun, but it could have been a lot more fun.
It just feels like a huge missed. Like I don't understand the thought process at all.
I wonder. We don't really seem to have time to dig in anymore, because I feel like we have to move so quickly because they're afraid of attrition of readership, and so all the stories happen very fast. They all feel like outlines. We get these 5-issue. This would have been a 12-issue story many years ago, and you really would have dug into the story. Now, it's a 5-issue.
I would have complained about 12 issues being too long back then.
Yeah, but now it's a 5-issue story. You can't do it in 5 issues.
Well, here's your problem, though. It used to be that stories were how many issues they took, and now everything has to. I know, but like to a certain
not
extent,
for events. There was like a set number of issues.
Right, I get it, but like even just in series arcs, you'd have 1 issue, 1,
no, that's
2,
100%
3,
true,
or
yes.
4, and now they all have to be the same length, and that is so limiting. That makes things seem to feel too short or too long or whatever. Like, and again, I understand why. There's a trade market. But I just think, once again, over and over and over, I think publishers aren't giving comic book readers any fucking credit at all. They think if we if you get a trade that had, we used to do this. I'd get a trade back when you couldn't get many trades, and it would have 2 stories in it. One was 3 issues, and one was, and like we got by. Like,
So Dad did it.
Yeah, I just they're like, they think that we're so fickle, but I have the feeling like, this bulk of comic book readers are the same goddamn people who've been buying them. They're going to keep doing it until they die. They're us.
Yeah. It's just, I think it's encapsulates a lot. That's what's wrong. And again, I don't want to knock KO, but it was a fun thing, but it just sort of collapsed at the end into a commercial.
Bungled the ending.
Yeah.
Endings are hard. And these very smart, talented people, I think, made the wrong choice.
I think Final Crisis was like 8 or 9 issues. Like you need that many to tell a big universe-wide story. 5 is not enough, especially with the way that they tell stories now. Like there's not enough real estate, and it's a problem. Let's talk about Batman #7 from Matt Fraction and Jorge Jimenez. We were correct. That is Dad Bod Joker. It was funny. I was anticipating your complaint, so I asked. This is my first mistake. I asked AI when the last time we saw Joker in a comic was, and it told me DCKO, and I was like, well, that was my own fault. That's exactly true, but not what I meant. So we find out here that the man in the tube from the final page of the last issue is in fact the Joker, being held in the Bacta tank by the doctor that Bruce Wayne went on a date on. And I thought this was really good. I mean, I like the Joker. I know you don't. I know you're sick of him, but I thought this was similar to Silence of the Lambs. This was a really good, tete-a-tete. The big reveal that he knows he's Bruce is not a big reveal. That's been stupidly the case for a while. I don't know why that was supposed to be so shocking, but
I don't begrudge him telling him the story that way. If you just imagine you've never, this is just your Batman story, and like, okay, in this one he didn't know he knew, but he knew. Whatever. I
like the little details, like the special floor that you can't.
I thought that was really smart.
Move from, and then she makes Batman take his boots off, so he's standing there all tough with his bare feet the whole time, which was both a funny and a strange image. And also him in this really well lit room really highlights the difference in the costume. Like he's in this light blue outfit, and it's very different. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just really highlighted it. And I thought about this too, like the old ways of drawing. The old blue Batman suit always had the black outlined face. They were trying to give it texture, shadow, whatever. And they don't draw like that anymore. So this like light blue Batman face is somewhat startling still to me.
Yeah.
I like that they gave him like a little eyebrow action, like Spider-Man's eyes. I just thought this was really interesting and fun. And
really like how he drew the cape in this, especially like in all the standing shots. Like it's just, there's one where there's one where like he's sort of from the side and the cape's wrapped all around him and he's got his like bare feet out. It's like, like it's weird. I don't know what to think of the lady. I was
Yeah.
like, wait, so is she stupid or bad or like I'm not complaining. I don't need to know now. Like that's the
Right.
deal.
Well, I don't think she's bad. Based on what
Probably
we've seen
not.
here,
Yeah.
based on what we've seen, she could be bad, but she seems to be following the trap that everyone falls into. Is I'm going to be the one to fix the Joker,
Right.
and then
Hubris.
no one can fix the Joker. But
There was bits in here though that specifically what's at the beginning. The brain uses less than 500 calories a day and generates around 12 watts of electricity. His brain burned through 8,000 calories and could light a Christmas tree. And
shouldn't he be thinner?
yeah, why is he?
If he's burning
Yeah.
8,000 calories just in his brain activity, he should be a stick figure Joker, not this one.
But I was gonna say I don't feel like we've ever been like had his meta power or whatever delineated like that. And like, so he's a genius, or like
I think we've always known he's some kind of genius.
yeah,
Right?
but maybe I mean it's almost like yeah, but don't explain it.
Yeah.
It's great comic book explanation, by the way. I'm 100% fine with it.
And I think that explanation can be just he's really really smart, or
Yeah.
it's a power, and you can decide for yourself what you want it to be. I'd
Yeah.
rather not be a power, so I just assume he's as smart as Batman is,
Right.
just in an evil.
I mean, and he has to be, but it's one of those things like the more we know about him, the worse.
Totally.
The more we don't know about him, the better. So every time you explain anything specifically about him, I think you're taking something away from the character.
Absolutely.
That said, it's totally a subjective choice, and it fits in the comic book, and it's I don't fault them for doing it. It's just a preference.
Totally. I'm just looking through. I mean, we talk about every issue, but the Jorge Jimenez being in this book is a gift to everyone. I mean, Fraction's doing an amazing job putting his spin on the book and his own, in a way that feels very fresh. But man, the flashback of classic Joker by Jimenez in that one shot where we see him dealing with the cop, like it was such a good drawing of classic Joker. Then there's I guess when she bought the issue, there was like a 5-page pullout, which for us was a tiny little page.
Right.
But he changed up his style for that. It's a totally different, look and feel, and much more like Bill Sienkiewicz like. And I thought that was amazing.
And Tomo Murray, 100%, contributed to that.
To be talking about all this, yeah.
Yeah, I mean this I don't know because I'm not. I feel like this would have been fun as a colorist to do. That's my instinct here. Because you get to do so much with the reflections and shadows and the colors and just all the tints going around everywhere. Yeah,
it's a great book, and I mean,
do you think the Joker has hairy arms and a chest? I don't think he does. I think the Joker has no body hair, even if he's getting
the chemicals burned it all off. He's like a baby seal down there.
He just looks like somebody's uncle here.
They said something about how something that happened changed his body shape, but like again, if he's burning 8,000 calories just in thought, then he should have he should be, on the skinny side of life. But what do I know?
Bruce, let me look upon you with my own eyes.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. Okay, let's talk about Briar, Knight's Terror #3. Josh,
still on this?
No, I didn't.
Christopher Cantwell. I don't blame you one way or another. I think this is the third miniseries.
It is the third volume
of Sleeping Beauty, basically, as written by Christopher Cantwell, with art by Alex Linz. And I think at the beginning of this has to be the end of it. It's definitely it feels like it's the third arc, and they were sort of closing in. I thought I don't know if I want to read this anymore, but I've actually been really enjoying this last few. I really like this issue. I've been enjoying the last 3. It's just kind of fun, inventive things in here, and I can never forget that Christopher Cantwell. He's done so many comics that I almost forget is that Christopher Cantwell, co-wrote one of my favorite shows ever, and so I instinctively have to be like, no, this guy's, even if he's doing things that I don't particularly love, I like the way he does it. There's a relationship that has sprung up between the Blue Spider Lady and Sleeping Beauty, and it's very organic. It actually worked really well, and you believe it because I kind of didn't see it coming, and it's satisfying in a way. And then the witch kid, who's a they, I don't remember the character's name,
right?
Goes to hell, meets somebody there, and introduces love to hell. So then he becomes the king of hell. And all the demons are like, this is great, this love thing you brought here. Then, shows up at the end to help. It's got that culmination of a bunch of stuff happening at the end. It's over the top. It's a fairy tale. It's an adventure story, and Alex Lintz is great. This is one of those comics that like I'm gonna really enjoy when I'm reading it. I'll probably never remember it existed, and somebody will probably never bring it up again. But this is a comic book story, and I cherish those. Like just a comic book story. This is like a Vertigo book. This is what a Vertigo book. This would have been one before, like original Vertigo book. But yeah, I really enjoy it.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
I like the first two volumes. I just had enough.
It's fine.
The Avengers 802 or 36, the final issue of Jed McKay's run on the Avengers, 36 issues, drawn by Fareed Karami, who gives everyone a little bit of extra padding.
Heyo.
All the right places, just for everybody, not just the ladies, the men too. And so in this issue, it's truly an epilogue in which Carol, Captain Marvel, goes around to each member of the team and says that she is resigning as chairman, and she thinks that this volume of the Avengers should also disband, and so that's just going around doing that while interspersed with Kang in prison getting beaten up at first and then turning the tables and being Kang again. That's sort of the plot of this. And this issue, in this run of Avengers, there was a couple of things we liked. There was that heist little 2-issue story that we liked a lot. But overall, I'd have to say it ends with a thud, as it was the entire time, kind of a thud. As much as we love Jed McKay's other work, this just again, the Avengers claims another scalp. It's just like no one can figure it out.
How much do I appreciate Jason Aaron's run that I wasn't sure about while it was going on, compared to this puddle of crud? This thing that I tried my best to enjoy the entire time, making mental excuses for what was boring me on a deep level. And then this last issue, just enveloping all of the crud into one final crud epilogue of her going around going, what do you think? And then going to somebody else, go, what do you think? I was like, fucking Captain Marvel. She does not need to ask everybody's opinion on it. I don't even know who Black Panther is supposed to be. Is he a dick now? Was he always like, I don't understand. I'm sick of fucking Tony Stark do the thing, and it was awful. To make it you know what? I liked the city. The city was the only thing I liked out of this. The Impossible City, who became like a Warren Ellis kind of character who spoke to them, and he's taken off. And I was like, all right, so that's a thing with these other characters who I don't want to see again. But there's gonna be a miniseries.
No, I don't think so.
This just didn't work. You wait 5 years from now.
Well, maybe.
There's a miniseries going on right now that's an like that War World thing, and we just thought that would have never come back.
So the issue ends with Tony and Carol initiating a new vote for the new Avengers chairperson, which apparently goes to everyone's card, and they can somehow vote through the card. And so all of the active members, which is basically everyone in the Marvel Universe, votes, and that's the cliffhanger is who the new chairperson of the Avengers is. I don't believe that Marvel has announced a new Avengers series yet. The next thing they've announced is that the next Marvel event is Armageddon, and there's an Avengers Armageddon book in that mix, and that's a Chip Zdarsky run thing. He's doing all those things. So I don't know that we know when or where there'll be another Avengers series. So they will have to be one by the time Doomsday, or whatever the fuck it's called, comes out in December. But
are we sure this is the same Jed McKay? Because the stuff with the Court of Camelot characters,
so bad.
It was like one of the many maybe unformed Kickstarters that have been pitched to us over the years. It was that level of inconsequentially boring, and just nothing about it was interesting.
There were 4 pages in this issue that dealt with them, and if I'm being 100% honest with you and the viewers and the listeners, I skimmed those pages. I didn't care.
They haven't said anything the entire time. They had one little bit was we were made to be new Avengers, and then we weren't, but now we are. We love Avengers. We're great. You are great. Oh, we did that last issue. What was this? I'm mad that this wasted my time. Thank God we got a little bit of Kang on either side of it, by the way.
It's unfortunate because, again, we really are big fans of Jed McKay's other work. I like his X-Men book this week. I like his Moon Knight book. We really like his the book we just talked about earlier.
Nova. I mean, I gave this writer pick of the week. Yeah, I mean, just
Well, you know how everyone suspects that Dan Moore employs at the studio. Maybe Jed McKay has another writer who he probably pawns off his other work on. It's his brother Ned. Ned McKay gets to do the Avengers book. That could be it. I mean, it's possible. I'm hope springs eternal for the Avengers. I'm an Avengers guy. I grew up reading the Avengers. I'm hoping the next thing will work, and I'm excited for Chip's story. We'll see what happens. So Josh is he's gonna bring his blood pressure down. I'm gonna talk to you really quickly about iFanboy and how you help support it. We are listener supported and viewer supported. We're not part of a network. We're not celebrities. Josh and I didn't used to be stars of a sitcom, and now we do a podcast together. No, we're just two jamokes who started doing this 25 years ago with our pal Ron and are still doing it. And we need all the help we can get from you, the listener and the viewer, because that's how podcasting works in the year of our Lord 2026. The best way to do that is patreon.com/iFanboy. You can support us directly that way, become part of a great community on Discord and Facebook, and vote on the Patron Pick. Get a Patron Power live on the show and join the monthly Patron Hangout. At $10 or higher, you get an ad-free version of all of our shows, and you get the Pick of the Week show, this very show, a day earlier on Saturday. Plus, you get the access to the iFanboy After Show on Sundays, where we talk about all the books we read that did make the show's rundown. And there's a discount if you sign up for one full year all at once, and you can send and receive gift memberships. That's all at patreon.com/iFanboy. iFanboy.threadless.com is our merch store. We have 23 designs on t-shirts and more. There's notebooks and mugs and stickers and posters and all kinds of things. I was wearing my Nothing Makes Sense, Something Matters shirt yesterday, and I spilled food on it, and now it's sitting downstairs with a stain stick. So do that. Be part of a great community of people who spill food on their shirts. Do it with an iFanboy.
I don't know that I see the connective glue in any of that story, but
I don't know. I just kept going with it. I was just stumbling forward. It's a great shirt and a great design. That was what I'm saying. And that's our most popular design. And there's lots of reasons why. iFanboy.com/support is our digital PayPal tip jar. If you want to throw a couple bucks in there without being a member or patron or buy a shirt, that's fine. And if you want, it's tax season. I just sent my tax documents off to my account. Maybe you're talking to your accountant. He's like, we got to lose $10 million. Otherwise you're going to jail. iFanboy.com/support is a great place to go and park that money. Not park because you're not getting it back, but you can send it there and we're keeping it. iFanboy.com/Amazon. It's a general shopping link. If you're doing
it'll be gone in much less time than you'd think.
Right, before you have a chance to reconsider. iFanboy.com/Amazon. Actually, probably not, because we'll freak out, not know what to do at first. It'll take us a little bit of time. Like I'm saying,
do you know me?
Where do you put it? You can't just put it in your bank account. You'll incur all kinds.
Have you ever seen Brewster's Millions?
iFanboy.com/Amazon.
I could have won that.
It's true. There's a lot of. It's a great movie, and the original movie is really good too. Anyway, this is a shopping link, so if you're doing any shopping, you can check out through there. We do appreciate that. We get a piece of that. And then finally, bookshop.org is where we help out local bookstores, so you can find the links where appropriate, which is usually the Booksload posts. And we appreciate all of you. Thank you very much. And let's talk more comics. Let's talk about Narco #1, one of the hot new books from Image. There were 2 of them this week. I only read this one. This is Doug Wagner on art story and Daniel Hilliard on art. And look, Dave Stewart. And
I was like, who are these people? And then they rope in Dave Stewart.
Hey, if they can pay his page rate.
There you go.
So the cover looks like it's going to be some sort of monster story, because there's a good kid with a Pop-Tart in his mouth, and there's a red woman behind him looking all sinister while he types on a computer.
It's raining Pop-Tarts.
It's raining Pop-Tarts. But it's not. It's a crime story about a kid with some sort of narcolepsy disease, where if his heartbeat reaches 200 heartbeats per minute, he passes out. And meanwhile, his neighbor, who he has a crush on, is murdered. And I thought this was kind of fun, actually. I really kind of liked it. It was surprising. I didn't know what to think. I based the cover, I was expecting some sort of supernatural thing, and I was pleasantly surprised in the other direction, that there was no supernatural thing to it.
Really? So you thought what they should do here is have a kid sitting on a bench talking to himself for 6 fucking pages to start your story? Thank God Dave Stewart showed up. Then after that, why don't they just sit in a fucking restaurant and talk to each other for another 8 pages? I was so annoyed.
I liked it.
I think there was something interesting there, but I think that you forgot you were doing a comic book, because the art was great, but if I'm the artist and I got that script, so he just sits here on the bench and talks, you gotta use the format a little more.
Daniel Hilliard was really good. I don't know if I've seen that name before, and I couldn't think of who his art reminded me of, but it reminded me of somebody.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and I couldn't think of what it was.
I
But
think it got better as it went on, but as an opener, like we read new comics all the time. I want to read new things, but I also get my guard up about like, well, what's going to bore me? And I just was like, all right, on the bench, on the bench, on the bench. Also, maybe in a tiny part of me was like, what does this have to do with the drug trade of the 90s, for example, in Latin America? And that's not what this book is about. In
Narcolepsy.
fact, I don't know if you can use narco in that context now because it's a different word, but whatever.
Well, it's
Tried
a different word. It's missing a letter. So
I didn't like it.
I agree with you that the first couple of pages were long, but it gave you a lot of context. I think the story really kicks off when he gets to his friends, even though it is more talking scene. And we know this. Every indie creator is really just writing a movie they hope to get made. But I thought the characters were interesting. I like this friend group, and I thought especially once you got to his house, and it became sort of this locked room murder where he's on the inside. The murders, all the stuff's happening outside through his peephole. I thought that was a really interesting device that he sees the boyfriend show up and he manages to get him away, but all again through the peephole. He doesn't actually interact.
I think the artist did a beautiful job rendering that. Also, like when he passes out and the swirly stuff happens.
Yep.
But seeing the guy through the peephole, there's a sort of overhead shot of his room where he's sort of like MC Escher's or whatever.
Yep.
Some great stuff in there. Yeah. So like I said, I think in the beginning he had to do Herculean work because he was being wasted. But that might just be, I don't know who these comic book writers, I don't know, maybe they're great, but they're just learning. I don't know.
So I'm looking forward to more. I did find it engaging. Now, you expect the story to go one way. He's like his neighbor. The neighbor likes him, but then she's murdered, and so now it's going in a whole different direction. And I thought it was interesting.
The other thing I think is that like it just at the end of the day, I was like, oh, it's this guy who's not sure of himself. And I was like, I'm over this. I loved this when I was 25, but now I'm like, I don't want to watch some young kid hem and haw about whether we should talk to a girl. Oh, great. I'd love to watch my own failures in dramatic form. I'm good. Thank you.
Let's talk about Lands Unknown, the Skinless Man.
Ben Stenbeck, story and art, with again, the incomparable Dave Stewart on colors. 2 Dave Stewart books in a row. I was very happy about that. I believe I read them right in a row. And Clem Robbins, veteran supreme, man lettered my favorite comic book of all time. So he must be doing something good. This was Ben Stenbeck, I know, had been an artist on Hellboy, Mignola-verse stuff over the years as they've had that sort. I think I don't remember what books he did, but I do remember that I liked. I was like, that name is a name I like. He did books that were good, and so what he's doing here is
he did Frankenstein. He did Baltimore.
Yeah, the Baltimore, like great artist. And
but the Frankenstein books that you read, the Frankenstein Underground book.
Yep.
Yeah.
But this is not related to Hellboy. It looks
Hellboy
like
BPRD 1953.
Yeah. That was great.
It's a little bit of a cheat to use the same cover treatment that the Hellboy books get, even including the little bar at the top saying "From the World of." Like, I nearly read this because I thought it was a Hellboy book, and then I saw it wasn't, and I decided not to.
I saw it wasn't, but then I saw Ben Stenbeck and Dave Stewart, and I was like, all right, let's give it a shot. And what we've got here is a fantasy story. There's a witch, there is a skinless man who is a legend, and he led a band of warriors, and they found a golden-eyed baby, and it was all written in that, fantasy language. And I just thought, wow, this guy's great at this. Like, he didn't write any of those other books I read, but in terms of just sort of owning this format. And so El Kubra went in search of a giant sympathetic to his needs, believing the king of Kurfa had such a beast in his possession. I don't know if you listen to Hardcore History, but I just did that guy's voice. Didn't mean to, but it was just like, it was exactly what it should have been. It looked like a Hellboy book. It was colored by Dave Stewart, but it was not. It was its own thing, which I thought was better in the end. Like, I only want Mike Mignola to do Hellboy. It was for what it was. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it, and I thought it looked great. And like a guy who I've seen draw, but I've never seen read a book. I just thought there's another book this week we're going to talk about. Actually, it's coming up, where an artist wrote something, and I was like, this is not as good as the drawing is on its own, whereas this I felt was the opposite.
So there's been other Lands Unknown books.
Okay.
There was Uri Tupka and the Gods.
I thought he was setting up his own universe here.
Bowling with Corpses and Other Strange Tales from Lands Unknown. There's been a bunch of them.
Were they from Dark Horse?
Yeah.
Huh.
Is it related to Mike Mignola at all?
Not that I can tell, other than, like...
Yeah, and it says The Skinless Man marks Steinbeck's first story in the horror fantasy Lands Unknown universe, co-created by Mike Mignola.
Maybe he created the
world. So there was a Skinless Man before.
Maybe.
This is the Skinless Man. What am I talking about? Yeah.
I don't know.
So this is Mike Mignola adjacent, is what we're saying.
But it was just, fantasy monster story, whatever. Like, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done.
Those are the books we're going to talk about at patreon.com/iFanboy. Every patron of the show gets a vote to add a book to the rundown. This week, the winner was X-Men Annual #1, written by Ryan Stegman, with art by Steve Scroach, the Scroach Man, with Stanford Green and Ryan Stegman. I make that dumbass joke every time I see his name now. I'm so sorry. We've made him into an 80s movie character, and it's not his fault. I
think that he's like a folk singer from the 70s. I think he's Jim Scroachy.
Right.
Sorry.
I see him with the sunglasses. He hangs out with Styles. Colors by Arthur Hesley and letters by Clayton Cowles. And this is...
He can't hang out with Styles because Styles is the... He is the Styles.
He is the Styles of whatever movie he's in.
Boner can't hang out with the Scroach. He's got to be with, like, Alex or, whoever the regular dude is. Go on.
Okay, so I 100% understand what you just said about this book, the previous book. What I did like about this a lot was the art and the sort of overall goofy nature of it. And so in this story, the X-Men are attacked. Phoenix comes back because she senses a disturbance in the Force, and the X-Men are attacked by essentially imagination, because there was a mutant in the Xavier School who could basically manifest anything he could think of. But the problem was he had no imagination. This is a patron power. And so he basically got bullied out of the school and left, and then kidnapped a bunch of comics artists to have them mind meld with him through a big comic book helmet device to make their ideas come to life. And those artists are Sanford Green and Ryan Stegman. Ryan Stegman writing him, drawing himself here. Well, they all draw various versions, but I like that goofy nonsense bit. I like that. I like the reveal of him and the artist at the table, and that very much looks like Ryan Stegman. I assume Stanford Green. I have never met him, but I thought that was fun, and I like the art, the monster coming through the portal, but being a sketch, and then merging into a fully colored. Like, I'm a sucker for the process being revealed on the page. But I agree with you. The writing wasn't incredibly sharp and that kind of thing, but overall, I thought this was fine. I like the page where they become drawings themselves, and Wolverine freaking out because he's like, "What am I? A sketch now?" Like, that kind of stuff is fun when you get to play with the medium in a way that no other medium can play with.
Yeah,
itself.
It reminded me a lot of, what was that Avengers book we did in the book split last year with
yes, the Avengers,
very similar,
the Michael Cho book.
Very similar to that. So right away I was like, oh, we're doing this where you're the character in the thing, and I can see why it would be fun for the artists. But I just was like, all right, that I've been through this before. I did visually, I thought it was pretty strong. I really did like the pencil drawings, the unfinished drawings, I guess, and sort of the idea that they had to, the drawing became more finished as it came more into the world of the people. Like at one point, there's sound effects that are written in pencil. I think visually it's very interesting. I think the concept's not terrible for like the mutant, whatever his deal is. I'm kind of glad that he was at least a mutant and not Ryan Stegman, right. Specifically, I guess that's the Scroach. I don't really know.
I couldn't tell either, and I decided not to Google him. So,
but then the bit where he's like, "Oh man, you want to get pizza?" Yeah, it's just, I guess. Like,
see, I laughed at that page. I thought it was.
I know.
Funny.
I know.
Should we go help? It's like, how would that help anything? Let's just go get pizza. That was funny to me.
This has more to do with sort of what I think I was looking for and stuff, but also like, this isn't for me. Like, I don't care about any of these characters. I don't. What the fuck is wrong with Phoenix's outfit now? Anyway,
that's her new cosmic outfit. Yeah,
I think it accomplished what it was supposed to do, and it was probably fun to do. And I think if you like this stuff, you probably would have liked this a lot. I read it. I didn't want to read it. I knew it was coming up as because I just don't want to read an X-Men annual. Why does every annual get to be number one now? Fuck off.
It's always been that way.
I know, but yeah, it was fine. But what I was gonna say is I read it because I was like, oh, I have to read it, and I was like, okay, I wasn't mad reading it. I was like, ugh, I can't get through this, but I didn't love it.
I guess the guy could be Scroach.
I mean, why would you have two of the creators on here and not the other?
I mean, I'm looking at a photo of him. He's just, I mean, he's a white guy with glasses and a beard, and so I guess that could be him.
I mean, if you're gonna just draw a comic book artist at random, you've
right,
got a good chance. Like you're getting the over on that one.
So it's
white
could
guy
be
with glasses
could be
and a
Chris
beard.
Somney.
Yeah,
could be Gabriel Hardman. So yeah, I mean, look, this was not the best thing I read this week, or or even in the top half of the books I read this week. But I thought it was enjoyable enough, and I liked looking at the pages where they, got to play with the form and that sort of thing. And I enjoyed the fun of it. So I'm going to give X-Men Annual number 1 out of 5 stars, a 3-star review or ratings.
I was going to say 3, but my 3 is different than your 3. That's what we've learned to a certain extent, because we'll do this where we'll be like, oh, it's pretty good. I'm like, it was awful. And then we'll say the same number at the end. This has happened a lot.
I use the Netflix system. This is a 3-star for me, as I liked it.
2.75 then.
That's fine. You can, and your 3 can mean whatever you want. That's the beauty
you talked me out of it.
So the second question we answer here was, would you have read this if it wasn't the patron pick? I had already read it. You were not going to.
No.
And sticking with it, well, there's nothing to stick with. It's just a one-off issue. So
cannot answer that.
There you go. X-Men Annual number 1, the patron pick. Thanks for being a patron. Every patron gets the vote to add a book to the rundown. But if you give it the $5 or higher level, you get a patron power live on the show. Like the script says, it's me, but it's Josh.
Yeah, that's totally me. Rebecca Kronenfeld knows right away and without doubt what everybody really thinks of her. Upon meeting somebody, it's full consciousness of what this other person's opinion of her is. And it affects all of their dealings as such.
Is it something like, it's just like Rebecca knows, is it like, does she hear the thoughts as it pertains to them? Or is it no, Rebecca has like this person likes me, doesn't like me for these reasons? Like,
like you just know,
like
if you were to say to me, like if you were somebody who's like, Josh, what does Connor really think of Ron Richards? Like, I could tell you what you really think of Ron Richards.
I had a lovely dinner with Ron this week.
I know, but I know what you really. I know how you feel about Ron Richards. She just knows this.
It's a nuanced, complicated thing.
Yes, so that is just instantly understood. So the idea that like this person at the bank kind of doesn't trust me or isn't even interested, or this person is really being, the age-old. I don't know how useful this is for Rebecca, but the age-old question: does this stripper really like me? I mean, like know.
The answer is no.
No, I never. Yeah, that's the thing. But Rebecca's sure. And it can be really nice and it can be really lonely, but there's no falseness. So everybody who, if you like her, she knows.
You never have to worry about the, should I ask this person out or not?
Yeah.
You'll know for sure what kind of answer you're going to get.
Yeah.
All right, Rebecca, thanks for being a patron. Patreon.com/iFanboy. That's where you get your patron power. Let's do an email. We have the one here, so let's do it.
Okay, I'll do. Don K of Falcon, Colorado.
It's a cool ass name.
Yes, absolutely. I've been reading comics since the 70s as a small child. I have taken the breaks like most readers have in college, etc. I got back into comics completely around 2012. I devoured everything. Since that time, my interest has waned, but recently I've almost completely stopped reading anything new. When I started back in comics, I found so many stories and writers that interested me. That seems lost, and I have little to no interest. What does iFanboy do to keep interest during the valleys? How do you find the fire to keep on with this every week? I emphasize this. He didn't. It feels like I am about to end my comic reading potentially for good.
It's interesting I saw this email when it came in, and when you picked it, I thought there was a time, it was maybe a year or two ago, where we got this email like every week, or variation of this email, and we haven't in a while. And we answered them a lot. But it's been a long time since I've done it, so let's do it again.
I do not remember doing that when I picked it.
No. I'm just saying, we get we do this 25 years. We have a lot of
Yeah, no,
questions
exactly. Like we could have gotten it 15 years ago. It would mean the same.
It's just interesting that we went. I think we went through a period where a lot of people were feeling, down.
Was it during the pandemic? I mean,
I don't remember.
This isn't fixing it.
I mean,
the
easy answer
on digital comics.
Get yourself a show that you have to do every week.
Yeah, we're not good. We're not going to be good at answering this for you because we literally have a deadline and people.
Well, it's not that. It's that we love doing the show.
Yes.
And so even if the books suck, the act of doing the show is super fun. So we have that extra added thing that makes comic reading more enjoyable because we know we get to come on and do the show and we have a good time doing it. So
it's true. When I was away, when I was on vacation, like I read books and I was like, I don't get to talk to Connor about this. And it wasn't like, oh, I don't get to put it on the show. Like I've lost content, but I was like, I gotta, and then I thought, can I talk to Connor about this? Like I literally was like, I know I can, but I just, I don't know.
So that's our specific to us answer. But if you've got to find something that you enjoy, and if it's not the characters and the stories, then it's the craft and the art of the making of a book. Maybe that's not something you're into, and you just like the characters and the stories, and you find them boring. And that totally happens because comics are cyclical by nature. And I mentioned at the top of the show that I had thoughts of Marvel and that I was going to bring up during Avengers, but I just forgot. So, I think Marvel's in a really, really, really fallow creative period. I think so many of their books are really boring and not doing anything interesting, and they need to get out of it quick because it's been a while. And so but that's a cyclical thing.
That's the word.
Wow. I don't know what the fuck that other word was.
Circular and cyclical.
Yeah, all in the time we've done this show, every major company has gone through peaks and valleys, and it seemed like they're never going to get out of it. And then something happens, and they do, and it's more interesting and fun again. But at the same time, understandably, this is not a cheap endeavor. These are expensive items, and so if you're not enjoying them, it's hard to say keep at it. They'll get better eventually when you're spending, $5 an issue. So,
and they're kind of not going to get better. They're going to be what they are, and sometimes you'll be better. No, I know, but like.
Something will happen. Marvel will get better.
No, I know that, but like comics themselves aren't going to change. They're going to be that thing, and maybe you're not into it for a little while, and then something happens that's interesting, or some new creator comes along that strikes some chord in you or whatever. But it's gonna this is the flow. This is how it goes. What I would ask you, and you said it, like, because I definitely go through this where sometimes like if if I'm into Marvel superheroes right now, I've had a
rough time.
I've had it's been everything in the world for 18 years now, and like people will still talk to me about like the movies or whatever, and I'm like, I don't how do you even care anymore? To a certain extent, now I can care about the comics because of the other element of it that I like so much, which is the craft of the thing, and to me that's made a really big difference, is trying to appreciate that. And like when I tell you what something like Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees.
Yep.
Like something like that comes, that's exciting. Like, look what this person's doing. This is new, or just there's little things all the time that I can find myself. But the superhero stories, like I come and go on those. I because we know them so well and we talk about them. Like there's like having to think about what you think about them, and like that is a mental exercise that actually brings my brain happy. So that's good. But there are other stuff that you were interested in that have come and gone over. I feel like you're pretty stalwart with those things, but like, are there?
Because I have several avenues in. I love the craft of it and the art and finding a new and exciting artist, but I also really love the characters and the stories, and that's my primary driver for me. So I don't get sick of it. But I would say for Don, no, go.
I was going to say, like, is there something else, not comics? Is the thing that you like were into, and then you're like, I don't care. Like, I mean, I know you like. There was a sport you watched for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting. I'll be honest. I was getting on the fence with baseball for a little while because the game had gotten really boring for reasons that we just cannot get into. But they've pulled out of it because again, everything will eventually pull out of it or it goes away. But and the what I enjoyed about watching baseball was something that the game itself stopped valuing, and so I would, there was about 2 seasons a couple of years ago where I was like, I'm not really enjoying this, and that
feels bad.
Yeah.
because the thing
But
that
then
you liked
they're pulling
isn't,
out of it. It's more exciting now. But
yeah,
for a while,
but
it's
also like the
oh,
thing that
man.
you liked isn't doing it for you
Yeah.
anymore. And like that, like if I'm reading between the lines with Don, like that's what I'm hearing is that like this thing that I liked isn't giving me joy anymore.
Right.
You know,
So
in your position, if you're Don, stop buying comics for a while. Find something else that makes you happy. Or, you know, like I've been reading pretty much whenever I have spare time. I've been reading Usagi Yojimbo and then Japanese manga comics from the 70s. That's what I read for
so
enjoyment.
I was going to say, so here's my several things of advice for Don is one, think about what it is about the hobby that you enjoy. Is it the art and the craft? Is it the characters and the stories? And try to focus in on those. Like, okay, maybe it's the characters and everything. Maybe you're a big Marvel guy and you think all the Marvel comics are boring right now, which I agree with you. And not putting thoughts in your head, but then you might have to just take a break because then come back when things get better or you hear things are better. But if it's the art and the craft, then maybe you just start to look around for other publishers or follow the people that you really like and look for those things. Or if you really like the form and the function of the comics and the characters themselves, no one says you got to keep reading the new ones. You don't have to go every Wednesday. There's 80 years of back issues and older comics.
Spend your time and money
those.
checking out some of the classics that maybe you never read. You've been reading since
But like
the
Josh,
70s,
you just
you
said, like
got.
you've been reading a lot of Usagi Chimical. You love that book,
Yeah.
and you've been going back and reading all of them. And
Yeah.
Lone Wolf and Cub, you've been reading all of those. Like, you know, find some things from the past that maybe you never read, or it's been 20 years and you've forgotten, and go reread those and see if that kickstarts your love of it back, you know, into Overdrive. Or maybe it's just you're done. And I'm just, you know, I'm not saying you have to find a way back in. If you're really not enjoying it anymore, then you shouldn't be spending your time and money on something you're not enjoying.
I was just, you know, you don't know comics anything. Like and like whatever you're gonna invest, like I don't know what you've read, but like this is not an exact, you know, but like you're like, man, I've always been thinking about reading Preacher. Like, don't buy weekly comics anymore. Because there is a thing where like all the weekly comics that come out now, they're all a little related. Everybody's going through the same thing, and it tends to come in waves. And so like, you know, a lot of them start to feel samey. You know, you'll see like we'll go through the thing where there's just like, oh, all the indie comics are apocalypse comics now. All, you know, they're all about they all tend to follow a trend, but like read something from 20, 25 years ago, or just like go like pick up Watchmen, read Watchmen again and be like, oh, this is what it's supposed to make me feel like. It might not be that story, but you know, like I'm reading the guys, I can't remember the names off the top of my head. I'm sorry. The guys who did Lone Wolf and Cub, I'm reading another series they did concurrently. These motherfuckers, Path of the Assassin, and I cannot put it down. You know, I just like as I'm going through Lone Wolf and Cub, I was like, I think that this is my favorite artist now. You know, like that's the thing that excited me. But like at the same time, like I have a hard time finding movies I want to watch at this point. Like they're not exciting me, and you know, so whatever. I'll find one when it does, and.
But even if you've been reading since the 70s as a small child, which is basically similar to us, I mean, I started in the 80s as a small child. There's got to be runs of books you didn't read, and some or you've heard about. Maybe you're an Avengers fan, and go back and read the 80s Avengers comics, or go back and read the Perez Busick 90s Avengers run. Like, go back and read the classics of the characters you like or the creators you like, and read those. You don't have to go every Wednesday to the store and read new books.
I'm gonna make one more point, and I'm sorry, but saying you don't feel like reading comics anymore, like no one ever says, "Oh, I don't like to read books anymore." But if you're always buying the same kind of books from the same 3 companies that come out every single week at the same time, like there's no people don't get tired of reading books. They get tired of reading a type of book, and
TV. Like, I'm not watching TV
right.
anymore.
Weekly mainstream comics are a type of book. There's just don't I don't think you're talking about the medium. I think
it usually means you're buying into the universe. You don't buy into that ongoing shared universe anymore, and that's fine. Go read other things. There's tons of great standalone stuff that you don't need to. You don't have to buy into that self-perpetuating ecosystem. Or you can always come back. There's no reason why you can't.
Just find something that makes you happy.
Yeah,
nothing makes sense. Nothing matters. You can jump back on. It's fine.
We're here for a very short time. Like just enjoy as much as you can. If it's not making you happy, find something else that makes you happy.
And
thanks for writing in, Don.
She doesn't really like you.
Yeah, that's the bad news. So we want to hear from you if you've got your therapy you need, just like Don did, or just whatever you want to get on the show. Write us at contact@ifanboy.com. Or if you want to be the Media Explode show, put Media Explode in the subject line. Usually we bank those for the mailbag episodes, but you never know. Let's plug some things and get going. So the rest of this month of March, somehow, I don't know how that happened, we have 2 extra shows beyond the pick of the week. On March 19th, we'll have our Media Explode show. We're going to be talking about Star Trek Starfleet Academy Season 1, and we're also going to have our 2026 Academy Awards reaction. It'll be the week after the Oscars, so we'll talk about that a little bit too. And then a few weeks later, we'll have our Booksplode on March 26th, talking about Darwin Cook's The Complete Spirit Connoisseur Edition. Speaking of great runs by creators we love from the past, we're going to talk about that. I have not read any of this probably since it came out almost 20 years ago. So I'm very excited to do this one. So those are shows coming out this month. You can check those out at iFanboy.com because that's where we have over 1,500 shows. You can find them all at iFanboy.com where podcasts are sold. And never miss a show. Find out what the pick of the week is before the show comes out by following us at iFanboy Comics on Instagram and Threads, or at iFanboy.com on Blue Sky. Individually, we are CS Kilpatrick on Instagram and J.A. Flanagan on Instagram. And don't miss former iFanboy writer Jeff Reed's video deep dives into comic book history every Tuesday and Friday across our social channels and on YouTube.
You know, I didn't really suspect when I got that print up there on the wall that what I would feel like was that Robert Redford and Paul Newman were checking me out all the time.
They're judging.
They're judging no. It's like that meme. He's like, oh, like that's like Redford. It's like, I like what I see. That's what I'm saying. So you can find. Wait, you said that part. These letters are wrong. That's my fault. Consider right. I wrote it like that on purpose, and then you just kept going, so I didn't even think about it. Please consider writing a review for this show on any of the places where you can do that. I don't know where they are. I know that people have done it before. I know they have them on Apple still, probably.
They
I
do.
can't assume that. Spotify.
Okay.
There's other things. So if you listen, if say that you're downloading or watching this where it is, if it needs a review or a star rating, you have the ability to do that. Do that. That helps us. That's great. I'm not going to keep asking. Maybe I will next week, but not today. You can go to youtube.com/iFanboy where you can watch the video version of this show if you're not already watching it. And all our special edition shows that exist there, Jeff Reed's videos, and then our archive of original video comic book content years before its time, which is not as bad as we remember, but not as good as we wish it still was. And finally, join us on the iFanboy after show exclusively on Patreon, where we share our thoughts on all the books that we read this week that did not make this show. That is for the patrons at the $10 or higher level at patreon.com/iFanboy.
Just to make this enticing for the non-patrons, partially because of your candy talk. Last week's show was our longest ever. It was over 30 minutes.
Really?
It's a whole
I'd missed a week, so I was into it.
Yeah,
and
I'm just saying, it's a good amount of show if you're not a patron that you get from the.
I wasn't sick or injured.
Yeah, it was fun. I didn't even notice it took that long, but it did. Because Josh did a deep dive on the candy he bought when he was on vacation. So, in addition to the comics, which, yes, we talked about those. All right, so we're done here.
Organic mint crunch.
This is the end of this show. We'll be back next week. And until then, I'm Connor.
I'm Josh.
See you next week.